I did watch the very first video from this guy. As again, somebody who's been really enjoying Arknights Endfield. I want to learn more about the universe because it seems very much interesting. We watched part 1 of this, which was more in regards to the nations. So now, let's learn a little bit about the races, I guess, because I did have these questions when I started playing Enfield, because I was saying that to people when I was playing. I was like, are we the only human in the game? Because all the other characters in the game seem to be of, like, different races, don't they? And we appear to be, at least, the only human from what I can remember. So I'm kind of interested to see what the deal is, if this explains anything about that. So let's get into it then, shall we? This is from Terra as well, guys. We watched part 1. Let's follow it up with part 2. Let me know if there's any other videos you want me to check out as well. Join the Discord channel. Is a good place to share any content you want me to watch. And let's get straight into it then, shall we? More Arknights lore. Newbie edition, part 2.
Welcome back to Terra part 2. I guess this will be where we shall be looking at the known races and threats on Terra in the Arknights universe. Okay. If you haven't seen part 1, then do check out.
Sorry to pause straight away. I do like the fact that I got this a little bit in Enfield, and from the last video, I like the fact that there's some dark, it seems to be at least some dark stuff in the universe, which I'm definitely down for. Again, as somebody who's a fan of multiple different fantasy and sci-fi, I like it when it gets a bit dark sometimes.
Our first video. Anyway, let's begin with the races,
let's go.
Then threats. There are many beautiful, interesting, and marvelous races on Terra. However,
Hogwarts.
It is important to make it clear that all races have differences. Some races are younger than others. Some enjoy conflicts and wars. Others want peace or to make an impact on the world. But interestingly, a vast majority of races aren't even native to Terra. These races could be categorized as ancients and elders races. While other races with Tzak heritage are the native races. To make this easier, we shall break down the races in selections. Ancients, elders, Tzak, and others.
I know it's a tropey thing as well, to have ancients and elders, you know, precursors. I love it, man. I love it. Like I say, when I used to draw little maps and stuff when I was a kid and come up with fantasy worlds, I always put that stuff into my to world building because I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
An interesting question that normally comes up within Arknights lore is, can an individual have a child with someone from a different race?
Okay.
If so, what race would that child be? If two people from different races do have a child, they will either be one or the other race. A 50-50, let's say, of what their child would be. An example would be, if a feline or a libri had a child, it would be either a feline or a libri. It can't be a mixture of the two. However, they will take traits of their parents.
So they could literally have a brother and a sister that are pretty much different races then.
Eye color, for example. Ancient races are the largest category for races.
Yeah, and gacha in your birth? Did you lose your 50-50?
Terra. Our first race we shall speak about is the Aegir. Based on aquatic creatures, this race comes from the nation of Aegir. Others can be found on the mainland, such as Iberia or Higashi. The Aegir, though, are some...
Iberia, that to me, I'm thinking, like, when I think Iberia, I think of Spain, like the Iberian Peninsula. Higashi is definitely more, like, based on Japan, yeah. Is this, like, something like Atlantis, then?
What strangers to the races of the land. Aegir also have been in a long conflict with the Seaborn, a background threat that threatens to simulate the rest of the world. Though it seems that the Aegir are one of the reasons for the Seaborn to be pushed that way. A tale for another time. One outstanding
they start some beef with those guys then.
That they are unbelievably arrogant and stuck up. Since the Aegir have more advanced technology compared to any of the races on the land, they tend to look down on them. I
guess that kind of makes sense though, because if it is based on Atlantis, there's all like the mythology of Atlantis is that, like, you know, they were super advanced back in the day, you know, like when people talk about like the mythos surrounding them, people talk about that they potentially had computers and flying machines, and so I guess that makes sense if you're going to interpret it and bring it into the lore.
Themselves as superior. Probably one of the most popular and populated race is the felines. This race is based on cats.
Hey, we like cat girls here. We like cat girls.
And can be mainly found in Victoria. However, they can still be found all over Terra. There are overall 39 operators in Arknights that are playable who are felines.
Again,
Aslan's
invented
are
toilet
thought to be
paper.
a separate race to felines. However, this is not true. Aslans are felines that have self-appointed themselves to a more nobility race. However, they still do rule Sargon.
So do they look at themselves as like lions and they're like, yo, you're just domesticated kiddies, basically? I'll see how it is.
And eventually moving
I'll see
to
how it is.
Victoria and now fighting over the throne
These
there
cats.
against the
They ain't
dragons.
real cats.
Vivori are based on wyverns or lesser dragons.
Ooh,
This
okay.
race can be
Oh, is that
found
what-
around in Sargon.
Is that what Chen is then? Because I absolutely adore Chen from Enfield. She's so cute. Is that? I'm guessing that's what she is, then, yeah.
Where they potentially originated from and have ventured to Victoria. Vivori are known to have higher physical strength and endurance
She's not.
than most other races.
Chen is a Chinese dragon. Oh, Yvonne. Okay, right. Okay. Is this what was it? Is it Sertia? That's what people kept mentioning. She's was it Levitane? I think it is now. Yeah, in Enfield, the character in Enfield. Is she from one of these races? Yeah. She's along the Chinese dragon, right? Okay.
Alephia, the race with deer-like traits. This race can mainly be found
Chen
in
is a
the
dragon
Fanya,
subclass.
but also
Yeah.
in the far north in Sami. You can find other Alephia in Victoria and Yan. There is also
Oh, okay. So there's different races.
potential
Okay,
subrace
within each
of
country
Alephia
then.
that are based with traits from giraffes. With equine traits and features, Kuranta are based on horses and even zebras.
Okay.
Kurantas are known to be born with fast running and stamina. A vast majority of Kurantas are born in Casimir, the land of the knights. And Kurantas, currently the only known race to have two elder race siblings, which we will get on to later. Lupa.
Casimir now. Is it Casimir or was it the other nation now? I forgot. They're all merging together a little bit at the moment. I'm still new to it. Was that the nation that was like at war with itself and others, or was that Kazgal or something like that now? I can't remember. It's all merging into one at the moment.
The Wolves of Terra. This race is mainly found
Poland,
within
right, okay,
Syracuse,
okay.
but also can be found in other places such as Sargon and Victoria. Horn's family.
Serta's
came
also
from
not in that right.
Sargon
Oh, she's a
and ended up
Sarkaz.
in
Okay.
Victoria.
Ice cream
Clearly,
lady.
The second highest most
She does like her
operators
ice creams
in
though, doesn't she?
Arknights Of 35 operators. Leobury are based on birds. Most
That's
Leobury
Kazdal,
can be
right? Yes,
found in
that's the one I was thinking of. That's the one that in my head, like just some of the things that I spoke about. I was thinking, is there some basis of that, like based on Israel potentially? I kind of felt like there was some like sort of references there in the previous video, what he mentioned.
Colombia, Iberia, and a few in Laterano.
Makes sense.
Volpo, having similar traits to Lupo, and sometimes confused with Lupo, this race is actually based on foxes. Volpo can be found in Syracuse.
What are foxes actually? Cause like, is it something to, is it like Vulpine or something like that with foxes? Because you know, like with Vulpixes in Pokemon and stuff. Like, is like, what is the actual like scientific name for a fox? What are they?
Colombia, and Sami. Archosauria, having traits from crocodilians. They also have similar pointy ears to others like Sarkaz and Vivori. From what we do know, majority of the males are anthropomorphic, while females aren't. This
Damn.
could be a case of sexual
Yo, those guys looked out, didn't they? Those guys looked out, bro. Like, jeez. I was like, damn, man. It's a good job the women don't look like us.
dimorphism. This race comes from Sargon.
It's
Anura,
Vulpo.
a
Okay.
race based on
Vulpex
frogs.
is fox
This
scientific
race
name,
came
right.
from Sargon. Across some parts of Terra, including Iberia, where they are
Okay, then.
treated roughly
Okay.
and used
Thank
as
you.
experiments. We only know of one Anura, and that is Blue Poison, who is based on the Blue Poison Dart Frog. A race we don't know much about is the Manticore, and despite being
Manticore.
based on a mythical creature, this race can be found in small parts of Sargon, and are rare, or they just want to keep away from other races. Caprinae, one of the common races found in Lafania. The Caprinae have traits from goats.
He looks
and
badass.
sheep. Cultus, the rabbit and the hare race, mainly found and born in Rimbiliton.
Rimbiliton.
Cerito is based on rhinos, with the classic rhino-like horn on their forehead. We know of one Cerito, and that is Bubbles.
I gotta say, I'm appreciating like all the, even though, you know, I've found myself in the past being like, you know, sometimes furry characters or anthropomorphic characters can like not be done very well. There's some really cool looking characters in this game. I'm not gonna lie. You know, there's some pretty badass looking characters. Hey, and you know, big fan of Yvonne as well, also, and Chen. You know, after playing Enfield, big fan.
If felines are the cat people
Bunny girls
of
are
Terra,
Australians.
then
Okay.
the Pero are the dog people of Terra.
Yeah, there's some really good
This
designs, you
race
know,
can
just a
mainly
guy.
be
I'm not gonna lie.
found in Bolivar. Petram are similar to Anura. There is currently one known character in the game, but Petram are based on tortoises and turtles. Not much
Right.
is known about this race, other than there are small Petram settlements
I
around
guess it
Terra
makes sense with like this shell that she's projecting here or whatever it is.
However, we do know more about the next race, which is the Pythia, based on serpents and having snake-like tails and pointy ears to other races.
Those two, big fan of those two.
Pythia, like snakes of the real world, have acute and delicate senses. Pythia are rare or at least uncommon race. Despite this, they can be found all over Terra. The Forte race have traits from bovines and camelids. The Forte are the main inhabitants.
Yo, this guy's built like a tank. Holy cow.
of Minos. Pilosa, another race that only has
Is Minos
one
like
known
Greek?
character. This race is based on sloths.
Based on Greek
and
mythos,
that's all
maybe.
we know about them. Anate are a race based on otters, weasels, and raccoons. Rubber are based on hyenas. Nothing much is known.
Oh, he looks badass. Man, some of these character designs, I really like some of these.
Other than they come from Sargon.
Okay.
Savara are a race based on lizards.
He's a blood
and
knight, the
some
blood knights,
amphibians
okay.
like salamanders. The land of Ursus, like we mentioned, was named after this bear-like race called.
This actually, as well, sorry to keep pausing, I do apologise, I can't help it, I'm a yapper. This actually does make me excited for like character design in Enfield as well, because I've said this already, I like Zenlease and I like Wuthering Waves, and I think at the moment they are some of the best character designs in gacha in regards to how they look in game. Not so much the artwork, if you will, the actual how they look in game, but Enfield really stepped it up as well. I said this, that like the characters in game look absolutely gorgeous. I can't wait to see some of this universe and those characters like translated into the game. I'm excited for that. I can't wait for Enfield, to be fair. It is now my most anticipated gacha game after playing it. I was looking forward to it anyway, because prior to that it was like NTE and Ananta. But yeah, Enfield is clear at the moment, because until we see gameplay of Ananta, I can't get too excited about it.
Ursus. The Zalak are based on rodents, including rats, mice, and squirrels.
Inspired by oh, okay.
Can also
Welcome
be
to the stream as well,
found
Chris.
all over Terra, and known to have acute senses. Hailing from beyond Terra, the Elder races, once
Okay, here we
mighty
go.
rulers who
I'm a fan of
overshadowed their
elders
ancient
and
brethren in
precursor
power,
races
held
in
dominion
fantasy.
over the nations. However, their numbers have dwindled, leaving only a handful of nations under their rule. Their forms bear resemblance to mythical creatures of our own world.
Okay.
Draco, with traits based on European dragons in mythology, they are famous for their racial gift over fire manipulation.
Okay, that's
But
dope.
they also have increased vitality and strength. Dracos became rulers of Victoria and Tara, a piece
See,
of
Victoria's the one that's like based on like, it's kind of like steampunk Victorian Britain, right?
land that became a part of Victoria. Eventually, getting in conflict with the self-appointed Aslans over the throne. Over the years, the Dracos have become
Guess that makes sense for Britain as well when you think about it, dragons and lions,
rarer
you know?
and potentially extinct. We only know of 3 Dracos in Arknights: Reed, her sister Eblana, and Tallulah.
Okay.
Hypergryph Libri. This elder race of Libri is based on hippogriffs in mythology, and once
Love
ruled over
hippogriffs.
the nation that is now called Ursus. However, like we mentioned previously,
That's got to be like Russian based, right? That looks like the Kremlin to me.
this race failed to protect
This game must be full of racism with this many races.
their land, and the Ursus rebelled. While they already are dethroned, they have kept their nobility status and known to
looks
have longer
badass.
lifespans.
Okay.
Kitsune. This elder race, based on the nine-tailed fox, are found in Higashi. They are said to be religious leaders and have some sort of connection to the founding of the nation. Kukulkan, based on the Mayan plumed serpent, and
It is indeed full
an
of
elder
racism.
race. However,
See, I like that. It's not that I'm not saying I like racism, but I like it when games aren't afraid to do that sort of stuff. But without, you know, it being like a ham-fisted contemporary thing from our own world. Because obviously, you know, you can do all these sort of things within fantasy, but it doesn't have to be, look, this is basically what's happening right now, and like, you know, be on the nose. So I like it when games are not afraid to, you know, getting to the weeds, so to speak. Clip cancelled, loving racism confirmed.
after the loss of their abilities, now they practice an odd ritual, which reduced their lifespan greatly, but gain the collective memory of their ancestors.
Okay, that's cool.
One thing about this race is that we don't know if they are categorized as an Elder Pythia or an Elder Libri.
He looks
Kylan,
cool.
based on the Qilin, a mythical beast from China.
Yes, we actually spoke about the Qilin in the Wuthering Ways video we did. It was before 2.0 came out, in regards to when we were theory crafting what the Sentinel was, when we were talking about the Qilin and hippocamps and all that sort of stuff.
Is an
Kelpies.
elder race found in Yan. Not much is known about them.
That's the race based on
Meishi
the
is
nation based on
only
China.
known
Yeah.
member of this race so far. While Dracos are the dragons of the West.
Calling a Pythia a snake will get you in a HR meeting, and hot dogs are called that because when they were introduced to Colombia, the vendors used scantily clad and attractive perils to market them. Okay.
The Lungs are the dragons from the East.
Jack,
Lungs
get this
are
guy
found in
cancelled.
Yan, and one of the main ruling races of Yan. The Emperor is a Lung, and the ruling family of Lungs are not often known as the true Lung.
So
Jin
I think
Zhonghui is-
those guys are like, wasn't it? There was an emperor on a mission to try and destroy the gods as well. Which I guess in a sense, when you think about it in relation to like China, with what happened with like Mao and religion in China as well, that's kind of makes sense as well, I guess, doesn't it?
in fact, the older twin brother of the Emperor of Yan. Knight Morza Kurunta, one of the two
Okay.
Kurunta elder races. This elder race of Kurunta once struck fear into the
That
people's
killed the
hearts
gods,
of
okay.
Terra, and led a conquest across
Okay, these
Terra,
guys look
from
badass.
around the north of Terra to Sargon and then back to the north again, where they are hardly seen again. However, there are small clans around in the north, potentially, and in Sargon. Night Morza are based on folklore called the Nightmare or the Mare, which is seen in Dutch, German, Norse, and English folklores and stories. The Night
Well, they're
Morza
Kelpies or
are known to
something.
have a racial gift to use illusion arts.
Okay.
Despite this, they seem to have a sense and culture over honor and glory. Pegasus Kurunta is one of the races
Honor and glory and use illusion arts. Doesn't sound very honourable.
that stood up against their sibling race of the Night Morza and protected their
It's roughly the
homeland
Ming
chasm.
Dynasty. Okay.
Pegasus Kurunta are based
The place
on
is roughly pre-World War
mythological
One,
creature,
okay.
the Pegasus. Pegasus Kurunta still hold strong respect and force within their land.
Shout out to who done the, because I know some of the artwork is fan made as well. Yeah, I've been seeing some really cool artwork going around for Arknights as well, fan made artwork as well, like unofficial.
But slowly, their authority has dwindled over time, after holding back the Night Morza. This elder race is famous for its control over light and illumination art.
Okay.
Pegasus Kurunta also seem to share a same trait of light-coloured hair, such as white, blonde, and gold.
Oh god, there's a man who I know who might have really liked these guys. Who are these guys then? Because this, you know, there's a time and a place in Europe where these guys might have done really well.
Other potential elder races we may have are an elder race of Rabar, the Tula family,
Okay.
another elder race of Kurunta, the Unicorn Kurunta, an elder race of Pero, the Cerberus Pero. The Tizak are one of the native races of Terra.
Is it Tizak or Tikaz?
Eventually, they took the name the Sarkaz after losing their home in a war against the foreign races. However, there are many different Sarkaz subraces as well as sibling races, which we shall get into now.
Okay.
The normal Sarkaz are known as Sarkaz.
It's Tikaz, right? Okay.
Like their ancient Sarkaz subraces, normal Sarkaz are often seen as mixed blood Sarkaz or not pure-blooded as they were back in ancient Terra. Banshee Sarkaz are unique as they are a majority an all-female matriarchy subrace of Sarkaz.
Okay.
However, There are male Banshee Sarkaz, but they are rare.
I like it as well because they're like, yo, let's all of these fantasy things, let's just throw them all together. Again, some of these things, some people would look at them as like tropey things, but for me, I'm a fan. I've said this before. I've said it with like when I've spoken about other gacha games and just games in general and stories. I am a fan of cliches and tropes if they're done well. You know, some people when they see like a tropey idea, oh, that's it now. You got to throw the baby out with the bathwater kind of attitude of, yeah, I can't enjoy it now because it's got like an idea that's, you know, a typical like kind of tropey idea within fantasy. I'm here for it, man. I'm so here for it. Maybe it's just because I'm basic, or...
And that is Logos, who happens to be the heir to the Banshee Sarkaz throne. Banshee Sarkaz have a manipulation of vocal and sound arts.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
A connection with death, often seen as the guardians of the dead. Cyclops Sarkaz live in the northern nation on Terra, Sami. Here they live away from their violent relatives. Cyclopses moved to Sami after the Cyclops Lord of Fiends was murdered by other Sarkaz.
Good reason to move, I guess,
have the
you know?
ability to see into the future.
Good reason to move.
Have visions to see what may come. It is said that these visions can be pretty accurate. Cyclopses are one of the 2 Sarkaz subraces that deal with the dangers of the collapsals. Damasty isn't an entire subrace, but an ancient Sarkaz with the ability to shape.
We're like, what, halfway through this video, and there are so many races in this game. It is absolutely insane. Like, the depth is ridiculous.
And multiply itself into more individuals. Diablo Sarkaz are said to be one of the most powerful Sarkaz subraces, with the ability of strong fire arts. However, this subrace is said to be extinct. With few pieces of Diablo shards left, one shard was fused with Ifrit, a Suvra, now merged with such a shard, giving her traits and abilities of the fiery ancient subrace. We recently found out about Joel Sarkaz, and sometimes they're known as Heart Whipper or Mind Sarkaz. Okay. Joel Sarkaz have a unique art, which is to do with heart, mind and emotions. Similar to their vampire relatives, they have to control their hunger,
not vampires,
but for emotions instead of blood.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
However,
what is it, man? Is it what we do in the Shadows show, where the one guy he's a vampire, but he's an emotional vampire, isn't he? Where basically he just goes to work in the office and just tries to get on people's nerves all the time and just sucks the energy out the room, and that's how he feeds, like on just breaking people down rather than feeding on the blood.
They do have more control or found other ways to get over this. A vast majority of Jarl don't even live in Kazdel. This is because Jarl are very sensitive to emotions, especially negative ones. The leader of the Jarl is known as the Archliar. Currently, we don't know if they have an Archliar at this moment. We currently know of 2 Jarl, Nymph and her sister.
Some of this imagery as well in the background's like really cool.
Working as Rhode Island's HR director, who is clouded in mystery.
Sucking by feed on sexual energy.
Gargoyles, said to be one of the most ancient of all Sarkaz subraces. This subrace of Sarkaz has control over soil, stone and earth, often called the children of the soil and the stone. They have earth arts manipulation and even said to have conversations or talks with the earth and the soil.
Okay.
Unlike the rest of the Sarkaz subraces,
so they're crazy.
The Goliath Sarkaz aren't part of the Royal Kazdel court, and unknown if they have a leader or not. But majority of the Sarkaz enemies we do see are apparently Goliaths. Liches are the bookworms of the Sarkaz, and very powerful bookworms at that, with the ability to manipulate space and dimensions to a vast degree. Omengard, the cute lich that everyone loves, once said that she could transform the entirety of Lefania if she wanted to. Is that a bluff or not? We don't know. But, if true, an amazing feat.
Again, I said this in the last video, the more, like, I watch, I think we're going to have to play Arknights. We're going to have to play. I did install it today. I was like, you know what? We're going to get round to it. The more I learn about the lore, the more it's making me like, oh, man, I need to play the game. You know, I just want to learn more about the universe through the game kind of thing and experience it firsthand. I think we're going to make it happen, guys. We're going to play the game soon, I think, at some point. We'll get a special stream set up for it and check it out. I just Enfield needs to come. I need the game to happen. Some people have been telling me August, you know, and hope it's not too much longer after that. I hope it's this year at least, anyway.
Not only do they have space control arts, but they are also completely immortal. Unlike their other fantasy counterparts, they store their souls or life in a phylactery.
Okay.
Revenants are a spirit soul-like race of Sarkaz.
This is the character that somebody showed me. What's his name or something? He's like Tin Man or something like that. And I was basically describing a character that I'd love to see in a gacha game, and I was talking about the Iron Giant, and somebody was like, oh, Arknights has kind of got a character that looks like that anyway. And I was like, no, really? And then this was the character that come up when I googled it. I love this dude's design. I think it's great, man.
This subrace isn't technically born, but more created.
Tin Man, the glizzy gobbler.
Body and soul in the soul furnaces of Kazmel.
Just a heads up, playing the game is going to be a chore somewhat. Okay, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Like I say, I probably won't invest too heavy. We'll dabble, you know, and if it sucks me in enough, then maybe we'll do a little bit more than dabble. Like I've got quite a few games at the moment and there's games outside gacha that I want to be playing at the moment as well. But hey, you know, we'll make time. We'll make time.
They can inhabit objects. Nazira are based on ghouls.
Was it Tin Man? Check out his E2 art. Remnants are basically salty souls inside things. Right, okay. He's an E2 ascended splash art. Is really, really great. Right, I'll have to check it out.
Of Sarkaz,
yeah, I love that design.
One of the physically strongest ones on Terra. One of the reasons for their strength comes from their deep cultural aspects of cannibalism and eating their enemies.
It's kind of getting me excited.
Return,
this video is.
Strength and
I'm not gonna lie.
As well as memories and abilities of those that they have ate.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Nazira often let the weaker ones take a bite out of their body, so they basically gain power-ups. Nazira King happens to be one of the oldest characters in-game, is around 7,000 years old, potentially
not that old then,
as he was around with the first Sarkaz. He is often known as the War Incarnate, due to the Nazira becoming far more powerful in wars, due to eating the bodies and powering themselves up. Like the vampire myths of our world, vampire Sarkaz are blood.
Give me like Dementor / Nazgul vibes, they are.
Suckers. They feed on blood as well as strong blood arts manipulation. Similar to the Nazira, they have an ability to empower others with blood blessings. Vampire Sarkaz have a thirst for blood, which is a hunger they have to control, making them very fearful, even to other Sarkaz. The Wendigos are a subrace of Sarkaz that are tall and have an exposed skull, thus they wear a mask. Fortunately, there are no longer any pure-blood Wendigo left on Terra, with the last one being Patriot. However,
guess those are not good guys, right? I guess those are not good guys.
There are still Wendigo Sarkaz in the north of Ursus, led by the Wendigo King.
I need to watch the anime.
The Collapsals. Just like the Nazira, the Wendigo are one of the physically strongest and have cannibalism deep in their culture. We would have to see if there are more Sarkaz subraces in the future. Now, we move on to Sarkaz sibling races.
It's complicated.
This race separated from the Sarkaz and moved to Yan, distancing themselves from more wars and difficult relatives. While they kept some Sarkaz culture, overall their
no good guys and bad guys, you know. Well, that's
while we still don't.
I'm here for that. I'm here for that. Somebody did comment on, I don't know if it was on my video or on one of my posts I was speaking about Arknights, and they were saying that, like, the game doesn't hyper-focus on the MC so much as well. Is that true? Because that's one of my biggest critiques about Wuthering Waves sometimes. I get it, you're the protagonist, right? I understand that. Like, some people have come back at me like, yo, the protagonist, bro, that's how it's supposed to be. But, like, I feel like more interesting stories sometimes don't always have to center around the protagonist all of the time. You know, you can focus on other characters and spend a little bit more time with those guys. Arknights story is about Terra. Yeah, okay, that's cool then. I definitely I definitely like that. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind concentrating on a protagonist. I love protagonist stories. You know, I really do. But I also like it when it feels like the world exists outside the protagonist, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Because sometimes in some games, it feels like when you leave the room, the world doesn't exist anymore. And I prefer the worlds to feel like you're just an important character that exists in the world. I like that.
Don't know much about them. They do live in the wilds of Yan in tribes. Oni, a group of Sarkaz that broke away from Kazdel after the Sarkaz Lord of Fiends Column was killed. They moved to where Higashi is now, and became the Oni, resembling some parts of the Sarkaz such as horns, but much more muscular. Sancta. Despite their angelic appearance, this race belongs to the Sarkaz family. However, unlike the Anasa or Oni, who diverged from the Sarkaz
is this like this looks almost like a Moses type reference, this does.
Heritage, they were Sarkaz that accepted a forced evolution or change by an outside power known as...
looks like Moses. What is it, splitting the... It was Moses, yeah, splitting the sea.
Which gives them six-like sense.
The Pope that looks like Gaben, you know.
Lord
Gaben, though, you know.
The Sarkaz, who saw the change nothing more as a traitorous move. Fallen Sancta are also a thing, which is a Sancta that has broken the rules of the law and starts to grow horns or regain horns. Now we move on to races that we aren't sure
I have got to learn more because like there's so much here that's so cool, bro. I'm getting overwhelmed.
Beast Lords. These entities are talking animals that have been around Terra.
We've got a penguin with the drip, bro. Dude's chained up, got the beanie on, the shades. Okay. All right. Okay.
For countless eras. Some of them show peculiar abilities such as immortality
Two-back penguin, you know.
Supposedly, most races in Terra have their own Beast Lord representative.
That's pretty.
But only a handful have ever been shown so far.
Rival, thanks for the sub.
Buromats. This is a race that you could describe as living gods.
Gaben is the bolt, right?
They have unimaginable powers and abilities, get big as nations, they have an immunity to erypathy, even have their own space dimensional
that's the virus, right? That's the illness that people. That's that girl had that, didn't she? That we meet in Enfield. Is that where like it like almost like grows like stone looking lesions on your skin kind of thing and in parts of your body? I believe so, right? It's caused by the originium. Yeah, that's Ebola. Yeah.
Travel. However, it is hinted at these beings aren't from Terra.
Penguin also got bars, yeah?
They arrived in the world. There are many Furamats around the world, and we only know of a few. Sami is a Furamat. Kajaragander, the protector of Kajarag, the Lifebone, seen in episode 13, despite being dead, still has a conscience, is noted that they can be killed, but they don't truly die. Another Furamat we know is Surta, not to be confused with Sarkaz Surta. This Furamat.
That's the one that... is she the same character? Levitine, whatever you pronounce it, in Enfield? Is it the same character or what? Because like when I was talking about Chen, people said that Chen's like a distant relative of another character from Arknights.
Was a rival to Sami. Operators like Ling, Dusk, and the siblings are all fragments of the Furamat known as Sui.
Oh, is that what it is, Skybird? Okay.
Other fantasy elves, they are humanoid, pointed-eared race. Despite that they may have a long-lived lives, they are very weak to originium and erypathy. Unlike other races, they are very susceptible to erypathy. If an elf catches erypathy, they basically have a month to live. This makes elves very rare, but there are some found in Sami. It's indicated that they are descendants of a Furamat. Durin, like the dwarves of mythology.
I like the fact that the dwarves are Durin, because like, you know, like Durin from Lord of the Rings, like, you know, the actual dwarf Durin, Durin's Bane, obviously. Yeah, this is, I like this. This is cool.
And other fantasy. This small subterranean race lives in the underground nation of Durin. Despite their size, these little ones are excellent miners, crafters, geologists, and very heavy drinkers.
Can't be a dwarf if you're no good at mining, right? You know?
Drinkers. Durins are a fairly peaceful race, as they live in an underground utopia compared to the other races above. However, some brave or adventurous or even bored Durin will adventure above ground. Last but not least, we are going to be talking about is you. Yes, you, the Doctor.
Okay.
The Doctor belongs to a race known as the First Civilization, another non-native race that arrived on Terra more than 13,000 years ago. You could say that they
Oh,
used
so-
Terra as an
Is that where these are humans, basically? Yeah? Because like that's what I was like, why are we the only human in this whole thing here?
experiment
When I was playing
ground,
Enfield.
while also planning to protect civilization from a certain threat. Unfortunately, this
Okay.
civilization may be responsible for majority of the greatest threats on Terra.
Sounds about right, yeah. Sounds about right. You know, that sounds about right. If it's us, that sounds
This race
yeah.
faced a great
More
threat
accurate
from
for
beyond,
humans.
leaving you, the Doctor, the last known surviving person of its kind on Terra. It is unknown if there are more out there. Trevor Friston is one of the Doctor's race, prior to him becoming a Preserver. We may know of one more, and that is Priestess. However, we don't know if this individual has good or bad intention. There are many hidden dangers and threats within and out of the supercontinent of Terra, lurking in the sea or even the stars. If not handled carefully, it might result in the end of Terra.
What's this here? Is this like a hippocamp? Kelpie. Looks almost like a little bit like a hippocamp, to be fair.
Here in this section, we will discuss most prominent ones that we know of. Seaborn. They are one of the growing threats in Terra. As their name suggests,
You don't know if the
they
admin or
came
the
from
doctor is the same
Deep Ocean,
person. Right, okay.
plaguing the nations of Aegir underwater and Iberia on land. Their evolutionary rates are extremely fast, enabling them to adapt to all sorts of things and simulate everything around them. Their colonies are connected by a hive mind. A cult known as the Church of the Deep are supporting the spread of the sea.
Oh, is that where all the comments are coming from then? On my video, people are like, you ever come to the attention of the hive mind? Okay, alright, I see.
Collapsals. They are best described as extra-dimensional entities originating from an unknown dimension. They are referred to as demons by other Terrans and possess an ability to corrupt other beings. Collapsals originated from two different places, a mystery gate in the Infinite Ice Fields and the Foehn Hotlands. Simply knowing their name is hazardous, hence why any form of knowledge about them is heavily suppressed by the Terran nations. The Observer. We currently know nothing about this godlike being. It is shrouded in mystery, and Terra is currently hidden from its sight. For now. The only thing we do know, it was a reason that the first civilization has gone from Terra, and that they had to build a fake sky to hide Terra from its sight. Another thing we do know is that it wants Terra, and it's coming whenever the races of Terra and you like it or not.
Oh, that's
and that is
cool.
where we come to the end of the video.
Oh, the dude did a good job with this video. Music and everything, the editing was done really, really well. An ominous ending as well. Oh, yeah.
For a player or someone interested in the lore. If you wish to know more about a certain nation, race, or anything within the Arknights universe, don't hesitate to suggest it in the comments below. Thank you for watching.
Okay, I really, really enjoyed that. I've got to say, again, the world building and the lore, the more I'm learning, the more it just makes me want to delve into the game. And it's also, I hope a lot of this world building comes over to Enfield also, because this is some really cool stuff. And as after playing a little bit of Enfield, I really do like the game. So if you can merge these two together for me, I'll be a happy boy. And I'll have a great universe to spend plenty of hours in, man. We could be no-lifing then. We definitely can be no-lifing. Guys, I'm pretty sure a lot of you know about the Terrastorian. Dude, you know, he's only made a few videos as well. High quality H2O here. So shout out to the Terrastorian. I really enjoyed both of these videos so far. And I'm loving the universe as well. This is really cool. It's really cool.